Chiang Kai-shek, from officer to leader to island refugee. Welcome to the path of wisdom. Today, we will explore the life of Chiang Kai-shek, a significant political and military leader in modern Chinese history. Part 1. Early life and the beginning of his military career. Chiang Kai-shek was born in 1887 in Fenghua County, Zhejiang Province. In 1908, he began his military career by interning with the Japanese Army. After the Wuchang Uprising, Chiang participated in revolutionary activities and was appointed as a regiment commander in the Shanghai Army after the uprising in Hangzhou. Part 2. Whampoa Military Academy and the Northern Expedition. In 1924, Chiang Kai-shek became the president of the Whampoa Military Academy, which produced numerous influential military leaders in Chinese history. In 1926, he was appointed as the commander-in-chief of the National Revolutionary Army, leading the Northern Expedition to overthrow the warlords supported by imperialist powers, achieving nominal national unification. Part 3. The First Chinese Civil War. In 1927, the alliance between the Nationalists and Communists broke down. Chiang launched the April 12 purge, arresting and killing numerous communists, leading to the outbreak of the First Chinese Civil War. Despite the Nationalists' initial advantage, the Communists preserved their strength through the long march. During the war 1927 to 1937, both parties consumed significant resources and manpower, weakening their power and leading to a decline in the country's overall strength. The social and economic environment deteriorated, with worsening living conditions for peasants and workers, increasing social unrest. The Civil War, to some extent, consolidated the Nationalists' control, especially in cities and transportation routes. But corruption and bureaucracy, along with harsh repression of the Communists, led to a loss of popular support and governance crisis for the Nationalists. Observing China's weakening due to the Civil War, Japan saw an opportunity to expand its aggression. In 1931, Japan initiated the Mukden Incident, quickly occupying the northeast and establishing the puppet state of Manchukuo. Taking advantage of China's divided state, Japan accelerated its invasion, culminating in the full-scale invasion of China in 1937. Faced with Japan's aggression, the Chinese nation was forced to reconsider the necessity of cooperation. In 1937, the Xi'an Incident facilitated the Second United Front between the Nationalists and Communists, suspending the Civil War to jointly resist Japanese aggression. This cooperation demonstrated the unity of the Chinese nation in times of crisis and had profound implications for China's modernization. Part 4. The War of Resistance against Japan. In 1937, the Marco Polo Bridge incident triggered the full-scale War of Resistance against Japan. Chiang Kai-shek declared war on Japan, establishing the Second United Front with the Communists. The Chinese army engaged in several major battles with the Japanese, such as the Battle of Shanghai, Battle of Taiyuan, and Battle of Wuhan. Despite suffering heavy casualties, they managed to slow down the Japanese advance. Meanwhile, the Communist-led 8th Route Army and New 4th Army conducted guerrilla warfare behind enemy lines, establishing anti-Japanese bases and mobilizing the masses to participate in the resistance, forming a Sea of People's War. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, with the entry of the United States and other allies, China's war against Japan became part of World War II. In 1945, following victories in the European theater, the atomic bombings of Japan by the United States, and the Soviet declaration of war on Japan, Japan finally surrendered unconditionally under immense pressure. The surrender ceremony for the China theater was held in Nanjing, marking the victory in the War of Resistance against Japan. This victory not only avenged the national humiliation, but also laid the foundation for China's independence and liberation. Part 5. The Second Chinese Civil War. After the victory against Japan, tensions between the Nationalists and Communists quickly intensified, leading to the outbreak of the Second Civil War in 1946. The main stages of this civil war were: Initial Phase 1946-1947. In June 1946, the full-scale civil war erupted. The Nationalists, with their superior equipment and numbers, launched attacks on Communist bases. The Nationalist government conducted large-scale military operations against Communist liberation areas in central China, North China, and East China, achieving some initial victories and capturing important cities and regions. Middle Phase 1947-1948. In mid-1947, the Communist Army, under the command of Liu and Deng, began a strategic counteroffensive, breaking through the nationalist blockade and launching large-scale guerrilla and mobile warfare. Three major campaigns. In the second half of 1948, the Communists launched three decisive campaigns: the Liaoshan Campaign, the Huaihai Campaign, and the Pingjin Campaign, which determined the outcome of the Civil War. Liaoshan Campaign, September-November 1948. The Communists annihilated a significant portion of the nationalist forces in the northeast, gaining complete control of the region. Huaihai Campaign, November 1948-January 1949. The Communists, in East China, destroyed the elite nationalist troops and took control of most of the area north of the Huayu River. Pingjin Campaign, November 1948-January 1949. The Communists captured major cities such as Beiping, now Beijing, and Tianjin in North China, thoroughly defeating the nationalist forces in the region. Final phase, 1949. In early 1949, the Communist Army pursued its victories, crossing the Yangtze River and quickly occupying major cities like Nanjing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. On October 1, 1949, Mao Zedong proclaimed the founding of the People's Republic of China in Beijing, marking the end of nationalist rule on the mainland. Chiang Kai-shek retreated to Taiwan, becoming an island refugee. In this episode, we have traced the journey of Chiang Kai-shek from a military officer to the leader of a nation, and ultimately to a refugee on the island of Taiwan. His life reflects the turbulent history of modern China and the complex interplay of war, politics, and national struggle.